And we are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the Life as a Chad YouTube channel. And I thank all of you for being here, wherever you may be. And of course, however you may be listening. Going to rattle off some content today. And one of the things I wanted to react to was a talk or discussion in one of Jay Dyer's podcasts. This was posted by Dyer Clips, who I definitely know personally. And he was the first, Dyer, that is, was the first person to really look at this topic that I had heard from. And it really did open my eyes concerning this specific topic. And that is, of course, the idolization in the West of sports, professional sports, that is, for adults, gaming, and comics. So we're going to take a look at that. And I think I really do think that it's a really strong take. I couldn't agree with it more. And off the bat, I just want to say that I myself obviously am not, immune to this. I definitely have my favorite sports team. I would say that since I've heard this specific talk, because I had actually heard it probably last year and wanted to react to it, but just, it just kind of fell through the cracks. And then it came across my YouTube feed again. And, I thought, well, shit, this would be an excellent thing to react to, because it's just not really something that is discussed, not in the media, not in the political discourse. And it really gets to the heart of what are the real issues, not the symptoms. Okay. Not, in other words, what are the real things, the real problems plaguing the West and the United States in particular, as opposed to just a few things here and there that we see as symptoms of the bigger issue. And as I said, I myself have not been immune to this. I played sports all my life, and paying attention to sports was something that I did. I remember when I was a little kid, I collected sports cards, Allen Iverson cards, not cars. Allen Iverson was my favorite basketball player. I did like, and still do, like LeBron James as a basketball player. I can have respect for the talent and, in a way, the art that is the performance. I myself was a really good athlete, playing Division I water polo, playing basketball. I mean, I played every sport that I could get my hands on. And, water polo, I didn't pick up until high school. And so, soft brag here, but that should tell you how involved I was in sports, that I picked it up in high school and was able to have the natural ability to progress to a Division I athlete in that sport in a matter of 4 years. But, so I've supported the Iowa Hawkeyes. I wouldn't say I was ever too much into the NFL, but I would engage in sports discussions and things of that nature, especially with my buds, and talk about who's the best player of all time, this and that. And I would listen to the sports talk shows because, part of it is not, the motivation behind it is not necessarily evil or like wrongdoing in nature, okay, or immoral in nature. A lot of it just has to do simply with passing the time. And, taking your mind, like Clay Travis. I remember, because when I was a semi-truck driver, as I was finishing my master's degree, I remember Clay Travis. I would listen to his, he was my favorite sports talk radio guy, because, uh, this was like like a few years back. So he didn't have the political leaning that he's transitioned to, or the political metamorphosis that we've seen from him now. But he always did have this logical, he was a lawyer before he got into the sports industry. He kind of had this logical, very American minded approach to things in general. And to tell you the truth, he would talk about things other than sports. It wasn't just sports that he would discuss. So I would listen to him, and one of his critiques that he had of professional sports when they started to go woke, and we started to see this just bombard, we had the Colin Kaepernick thing when he was kneeling for the national anthem. We had the Baltimore Ravens football player go to Las Vegas, and he stated that he was basically judged without, I can't remember exactly what happened. I think it was a linebacker of theirs, Terrell Suggs, that he was wrongfully detained, in other words. And then when the actual footage came out, it was completely false that was the case. They gave him multiple chances to just shut the fuck up and do what was asked, and he would be out of there, no problem. We had the Ray Rice situation. I mean, just, we had the LeBron James and his China connection. I mean, just multiple things. And then, of course, the influx of LGBTQ in professional sports, and, the Black Lives Matter on NBA basketball courts, and shooting shirts and things like that. So a ton has transpired in the last 10 years, I would say. Definitely the last 6. Okay, pretty much since the primaries for right before the 2016 presidential campaign. And Clay Travis would say, specifically with regards to the NBA and the NFL and Major League Baseball losing money and support after this woke tilt, that the American public and just the everyday individual citizen tunes into sports as an escape. It's escapism. And it's the same thing with comic books. It's the same thing with video games. It's a way to, just take your mind off of things. And so this is a long-winded way of saying that me talking about this and critiquing it is not to say that you're a bad person for supporting sports and being an adult who pays attention to sports and grown men playing essentially a kid's game. Well, is it a kid's game? I don't know if I would call it purely a kid's game, but if I were to call it a kid's game or an adult game, I'd lean more towards the kids, it being a kid's game, because so few adults can actually play it as adults. So I don't think it's ill-intentioned, and I'm not discussing this to throw rocks at you and say you're a bad person, you're immoral because you watch sports. It's merely to get you thinking about how our society neuters masculinity and suppresses real male instinct, and really pacifies the masses in general. So let's listen to what Jay Dyer has to say. This is from Dyer Clips. Definitely check out his channel. You definitely could say, and I'll have to tell him this myself, but you definitely could say that creating a channel. Maybe I don't want to. Maybe I don't want to go. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there. But just let's just say it has to do with idolism and exactly what Jay Dyer is talking. I mean, I fucking went there. Fuck it. Here we go.
Okay, video games, Marvel crap, and Disney Star Wars stuff, sports, and the great American civic religion, the great American pastime, politics. Think how much time and effort and energy has been put into and is put into sports, number one idol in America, tied with America's civic religion, aka politics, and then all this other stuff. And it's women.
So I want to start there. And by the way, as he's about to say, women have their pacifiers as well. Okay. It's not just men, but it's more important towards men because it restricts their natural nature way more than women. Whereas it's the opposite for women. For women, the pacifiers play into their nature. It plays into their nature, and also it doesn't have as overwhelming an effect as it does towards men, because men can dictate society and what a society does or does not do. As Andrew Wilson says, feminism and equality is a bullshit concept because ultimately men are the ones who give rights. And how do you know that? Well, you know that because if 10% of the population, and they were all men, decided that feminism was no longer going to be a thing, or this concept of equality within the government and our laws was going to be a thing, they could probably get it done. Because ultimately men have the physical prowess to assert their ideas and worldview, if need be, as well as the intellect to do so. But I had never thought about politics. Well, that's not true. I have. I don't know if I would put politics in the same realm as sports like Jay is, or comics and things like that, because politics does have a direct. Politics is something that is legitimately going on, and it legitimately affects and has it affects society. Okay, it has a direct impact on society. Now, I think what Jay would say, and I do agree with this, is there is a conglomerate and tons of financial backing towards the political industry and the political quote unquote discourse, that a lot of it is moot and void of actual purpose or meaning. You know, once you know this and you watch, or you go on YouTube and you watch, you know, a Steven Crowder show or the various other conservative Ton Inc. individuals, you realize, fuck, like basically this is one big industry devoted to complaining about what's going on without directly impacting what's going on. Now, you could say, well, discussing it, just by discussing it, you are impacting slightly. Yes, perhaps, but not as much as creating a foundation or creating an organization that directly impacts the laws and institutions that inhabit the West. Furthermore, there is, on a day-to-day level for the American citizen, the amount of discussion that is placed and time that is devoted towards listening to political commentary, when you yourself are not going to run for mayor. You're not going to try super hard to get a bill passed or a proposition passed or anything like that, or affect school boards. And I'm not saying that nobody does. Obviously, there are some people who do that, but by and large, most people don't. Most people do not actively engage and participate in the progression or enactment of legislature, ideas, worldviews on a local, state, or government level. And all of this discussion that is devoted to it for the average person, without that, is void, ultimately. But like I said, because of its real world implications, I wouldn't put it in the same category, because sports, there is zero real world implication. Whoever wins the fucking Super Bowl is not going to determine the future of America. That'd be wild if it did, though. Can you imagine if whoever, whether Tom Brady and the Buccaneers won, decided the fate of American society? And this is not like a new concept. I mean, obviously, Rome had gladiators, and it's a misconception that Rome always had gladiatorial games. That actually took place in a different region outside of Rome, but the elite were well aware of it, and then they decided to incorporate it into their society once they had gotten into those lands that had such games. But that was like a very rare occasion, an event in which that took place. Besides every other time in history, besides now, the day-to-day was filled with struggle and hardship and very little empty time. It was rare to be able to, just decide, well, fuck it, dude, I'm gonna go to a gladiatorial game. No, that was really only for a select few, and it was a rarity. And so, but the bottom line is, the implication is not there. For comic books, whether somebody goes and watches a Marvel movie, or even the creation of a Marvel movie, is not going to determine the outcome of America. Now, it may impact minds slightly, and the government definitely uses that to their advantage. I'll definitely acknowledge that. But by and large, it doesn't have a ton of real world implication. Not on a, film by film, game by game basis. All right, let's keep watching.
Men aren't immune to this either. Women have their idols of vanity and stupid magazines or whatever that women are into, Instagram, I don't know. But where have the men been, right? I mean, ultimately, when we see these kind of collapse failures, it's like, where were the men to stand up for this stuff, for virtue and what's right? Well, men were concerned with what? Comic books, video games.
See, Jay is hitting on the point that I already made, which is, when it's done towards men, it's far more consequential.
Toys, sports. Is there anything else guys are even told to be concerned with? So now it's good that guys are moving in the direction of getting out of that stuff, right? Getting into the gym. Those are all positives.
Good.
Sure.
Yes, agreed.
But one thing that I've harped on in the past, and again, keep in mind, the problem isn't sports themselves, because all of these things can be good. But
I agree with that too. I think sports, especially for kids, is a very great way to develop and hone in that male, or, well, specifically male instinct. You develop concepts of teamwork and leadership. The biggest educational source that I have had my entire life has been playing sports and being involved with sports. Plain and simple. So I completely agree.
But one of the main reasons that if our country collapses, it will be because of the god of sports and the freaking football demon. Everybody's worshiping the damn football demon.
Damn football.
And I've seen this for forever.
You know, where the fuck is Jay from? Is he from the South? I don't think he is. I think he's from California, but like he sounds like he lived on a farm, like a farm or something. Like he got that. And I don't know if he does it like he started doing it as a joke and then it kind of just came in like this and he fucking started talking like this. I don't know.
Now, I remember hearing somebody's
but he sounds like a good old boy.
Lecture many years ago, and they made a really good point, which was that 100 years ago, or 150 years ago, whatever, there were professional sports, but it was still a kid thing. So even the normalization of sports as like this idol, which is now a social engineering tool. I hope everybody recognizes that with the NFL and CUFID and all this propaganda that's in all of the major league sports now for the last 20 years. Why on earth do people worship these stupid sports games? I can't understand it. Now, I was a sports dude. I played basketball like crazy when I was a kid. I read Batman, Spider-Man, Avengers, X-Men when I was a kid. And as Paul says, when I became mature, I put away childish things. Now, he was talking about an analogy. He wasn't literally talking about the stuff I'm talking about. How much more so, literally, is it the case that we have completely been like, if the country collapses, it's because all the men worship the freaking football demon. That's it. And I don't even understand, how do people like football? It's like,
so Jay is taking his sweet ass time explaining this, but just something, and I, we're still going to listen to a little bit more, but just something that I want to interject and have you guys think about. Number one, I completely agree. If you think, just as a man, think about how many of your fellow guy friends, even women, but specifically guy friends, that are addictively focused on sports, professional sports, and the outcome of sports and the players. It's insane. The money that is poured into the NFL is jaw-dropping, even though, they've lost revenue from some of their political miscues, but it's astonishing. And I've long said, and there's a lot of people who hold this belief too, that any man who wears another grown man's name on their back, it's kind of sissy boy. I mean, I'd use another term, but we'll just call it sissy boy. Sissy boy. It's silly. And the incapacitation that it has, the numbing effect that it has. And if just 10% of that was put towards something of actual meaning and value and consequence, things could happen. But this is the ill thought out and ill-intentioned or ill-advised, not downside, but symptom, or not even symptom. Yeah, consequence, but I don't say that in a negative way per se, because I don't. All of this was done with good intentions for the most part. Obviously, there's selfish intention behind certain things and motivations. But the society that has been built up by men is so comfortable that it has now become very feminine. If you think about time frames before, I would say, the 1950s, okay, outside of the last 60, 70 years, any other time frame, men were able to put their masculine tendencies to work in various ways of meaning and value and consequence. And this is a well-known thing and a well-known issue that has presented itself that was unforeseen when this great society was built up. Is men are without purpose. They're purposeless wanderers at this point. And there's all of these faux turf, astroturf, fake, artificial ways that men are able to utilize their masculinity, but it's nothing of actual consequence for the most part. And like one of those is what he's talking about, like playing sports as an adult. Like on one hand, yes, it's good to be active, but on the other, it is basically a confined, regulated, artificial, barred, prisoned way for men to put out their masculinity and exert their masculinity. Outside of joining the military, and even then, or law enforcement, or being a professional athlete, I mean, what way can you or maybe like a construction worker, but even then it's very limited and it's very confined in how you can use your masculinity. And I don't mean just violence, okay? I don't just mean violence. And that's why I'm including construction, because to me, the craftsmanship and making things is a very masculine trait. But we no longer live in a society where that masculine, the good and the bad, were both possible. We now live in a very feminine, boxed in, caged, cushion civilization, comfortable civilization, where there is no pure way for a man to just be a man and exist and exert his masculinity without question. Now, a liberal would say, well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. But that's completely false. It's like telling a tiger not to be a tiger, or a lion not to be a lion. I mean, that's insane. And the only people who make stupid ass arguments like that would be a liberal.
The only sport I can even understand is basketball, because I played it, I guess. And I think basketball is fun to play, and it's good for exercise. But even when I was like, I don't know,
I actually slightly disagree with Jay there. Basketball, because I believe it's aerobic or whichever one it is. I forget. I could look it up, but it's it's not bad for exercise, but it's not like playing water polo or swimming or playing soccer or rugby. I mean, there are sports that are far better for exercise than basketball.
Turned 17, I quit caring about the NBA. Why is everyone obsessed with synthetic simulated masculinity? It's just weird, man. And I mean, that's never going to change. America will never stop worshiping the football god. Now, if the country collapses and we're all having to
So, according to the search engine, I typed in, is basketball anaerobic or aerobic? And then, it pulled up National Institute of Health, anaerobic and aerobic performances in elite basketball players. And then on the people also ask. Usually people also ask is the best place to find answers. In summary, basketball requires predominantly anaerobic metabolism to fuel repeated sprints and explosive efforts that occur on average once every 21 seconds. These activities can range between 0 and 60 seconds, with most gameplay continuously extending on the higher end of the spectrum. So yeah, it's quick duration of high intensity, which is why it's more anaerobic. And for like a full-blown workout, that's not the best.
Survive, you won't be worshiping your football god then. We'll be focused on survival. There won't be no football god to worship.
There won't be no football god to worship.
But man, it's in the South. It's so crazy in the South. People.
It's funny that he makes fun of fucking the guy from Texas that's like a big Texas Longhorn fan when he sounds just like him. But maybe that's why he makes fun of him, because he does sound like him.
People paint their houses the color of their freaking football teams. People get their football themed coffins. I'm not joking. There's a company near here that will tailor your coffin to UT Orange. And people buy it. When I worked at the paint store, I used to have to mix this ugly ass horrible orange for UT. And it's a bizarre color, but I had the formula memorized because so many people would paint their porches.
It's Matthew McConaughey. It's the Matthew McConaughey. Fucking Neil deGrasse Tyson is fan of the Texas Longhorns. John Hamm, Lady Bird Johnson, Janis Joplin, Jolene Mansfield, and Owen Wilson.
And they're shutters.
Yeah, I used to just say fuck it and talk like this for like fucking 20 minutes at a time. I'd fucking just be fucking about and fucking
UT Orange. And I mean, sports are fun, but like, dude, I don't get it. It's baffling to me that people don't mature beyond worshiping the football demon. And now Nashville has built this gigantor soccer stadium. So now you have another stupid idol, an even dumber sport, soccer. Did you know that you can't even use your hands? Who the heck wants to play? Just kick. Don't touch it. Just kick.
Don't touch it.
Hey, wouldn't it be a great idea if we just ran for 2 hours? And like, what if we could only like maybe score 1 goal in 2 hours? Oh, it sounds like so much fun, dude. And you just kick it, dude. Man, I hated playing soccer. That was a lot of soccer because, and nobody even realizes why Nashville now has a soccer team. Right now, it's part of its business. It's going to bring business to Nashville. The whole thing with soccer, according to your boy Jacques Attali, was part of globalization. It's a way to get, yeah, I know it's a money-making thing. I know all that. But it's a way to get everybody into no longer thinking about even the older model of, I like, I don't even know the Nashville teams. And why do we even have hockey? It's the freaking hot-ass South.
Tennessee Titans.
There's no ice. You don't ice skate and play hockey
that's pretty
in
much
Nashville.
it.
But we have this, what do they call it?
I think
Predators?
Nashville has soccer, MLS, NHL, and NFL, Tennessee Titans. But, obviously they're not called the Nashville Titans. They're called Tennessee Titans.
Hockey? Nashville, I don't even understand how it's popular. I guess because all of the freaking Yankees that have moved here. Boys, we don't ice skate here. What are you talking about? Ice skating sucks.
Got a hockey team.
Because we're sane. Because we don't like stupid ass sports from people from Canada. Take that to Canada, dude. I don't know what Canada sports down here. Hockey. I ain't no Emilio.
So that's pretty much it. You guys get the point. And like I said, I I agree with the concept and the idea and the motivation behind it. I can no longer look at sports the same. I think I now find listening to sports talk as pointless, completely pointless, and laughable, really. Um, as I said, I still am not like perfect in this regard. But two things can be true at once. One thing can be called out while simultaneously you not being perfect at that thing. But I've gotten better. I have. And I suspect on this trajectory in a couple of years, I'll probably won't watch it at all. At this point, I watch highlights every now and again, condensed version of it. Very few, just to pass the time, just bullshitting. Because, I do appreciate talent and greatness and witnessing somebody who is the best at what they do. And, the modern day athlete, especially in the NBA, is very fucking talented and very fucking skilled. And so, I'm not perfect, guys, on that regard. I still watch that. And, I still do watch my Iowa Hawkeyes, but I no longer spend an entire fucking Saturday watching and spending 4 or 5 hours watching an entire game only to find that your team loses. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of your life. It's a waste of time. These games now take up like 4 or 5 hours of your time because of the ads, especially if it's a big game. I mean, it's a whole fucking day thing and it's pointless, and it's totally a pacifier and to keep you caged in as a man. Now, if you don't give a fuck about that and you're perfectly content in your fucking cage, being boxed in, being a fucking caged up dog or fucking beast, then so be it. What's going to happen to this civilization? You deserve what's coming and you'll likely be the first to go because you won't have what is needed to survive. Not that it's for sure going to happen. I'm not a doomsday person or anything like that, but if you do care about self-improvement and finding truth and reality and dictating your own life that is pleasing to God, then I think that this is worthy of consideration. How much time do you spend doing it? Now, I even know that within like the conservative field, the red pill sphere, that there are going to be people who disagree with this. I just saw a video that Myron Gaines has started playing video games again. Okay. I'm not saying that it can't be done like every now and again, but it can't be something that like goes overboard. You can't be somebody who fucking wears another man's jersey on your back. You can't idolize another grown man just because of how he is as a basketball player or a football player. Okay. You can't spend fucking 4 or 5 hours every Saturday and Sunday watching a football game. And then another 2-3 hours for a basketball game. You can't do it. Your life is so short. And that is another thing that modern times has created, is this illusionary field of whatever is going on, which is that you're not going to die someday. And you are going to die someday. And just take one fucking second watching a documentary about ancient civilizations, Egypt, Alexander the Great. Recently, the recent binge that I went on, because I watch this before I go to sleep, just so I can kind of relax and decompress, so it's spread out over several days. I don't spend any more than an hour and a half watching it. And even that's probably too much. is how Egypt fell, the rise and fall of Egypt, the rise and fall of Sparta, Alexander the Great, how he came to power. And, guys, fucking Alexander the Great was like 18, 19 years old when he controlled half the world. I mean, this guy was a youngster. And now I'm not saying you have to be Alexander the Great. There's only one Alexander the Great, but but you spend even a moment, and this was like it was hard for me to watch those documentaries because just like 2 minutes watching it, I'm like, my mind, because this is just how my mind works, would immediately go to, okay, that was 800 years ago. Holy shit. Man, I bet when they were living like I'm living now, that because in that moment it seemed like then, there, and now it was present. It did not seem like they were going to die like this. But then 800 years passes, and it's like, yeah, they did basically die like that. Like it's in the blink of a fucking eye. So you do have to take stock of what you're doing. And here's the thing, guys, it's not just the sports. Okay, most of the male population, if it was just that, maybe it wouldn't be so bad. But it's spending 4 or 5 hours on a Sunday and a Saturday watching sports. It's also playing video games. It's also going to watch Marvel movies. It's also having a smartphone in which you watch 3-4 hours of YouTube a fucking day. It's and scrolling mindlessly through chicks that you're never gonna fuck. It's a waste of time. And if you used even half that time doing legitimate shit, who knows what would be possible. So, and I'm a big person who believes in be the change you want to see in the world. That's why it's hard for me. That's why I haven't gone, full kilter to, I'm completely against marriage, because ultimately I believe in the concept of marriage and I want to be the change I want to see in the world. So it's hard for me to unapologetically say, nope, you shouldn't get married. Marriage is not for me and it's not for you. So anyways, guys, that's basically it. Let's maybe watch a little bit more.
Estevez. Go take that off the only sports we play down here are, and we have a hockey team in Nashville.
Fuck, Jay.
No, thank you, sir. Please,
No, thank you,
take
sir.
your horrible sport back to the north.
How is it even a sport? I don't get it. Witherspoon bought or owns half the team or something.
No hockey, and they don't got.
Oh my gosh!
Remember
dude.
what we just covered from Augustine? He was talking about the fall of Rome and all of the entertainment and all the glitz and all the glam and all the wealth and all the food and all the degeneracy.
And I reference Rome as well.
And
Rome was probably not nearly what America is now, as far as the sheer amount of distraction that is there on a minute-to-minute basis.
even 20 years ago, when I read that book, and I showed you guys saw the other night when we did that analysis, I had written in the margins of my copy 20 years ago, how much does this sound like America now? And if Rome fell, do you think America won't fall? All these delusional boomers, that'll never happen in America. We'll never fall.
It could happen.
We
Believe
got
that.
FIFA soccer.
We're fucking right around the corner.
How could America fall? We have hockey. There's going to be a giant demon Wayne Gretzky with a giant demon hockey stick scythe that will slice through the country. Giant demon mullet Wayne Gretzky with a Jason hockey mask, with instead of a giant hockey stick.
All right, so that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, Jay fucking going on these big ass fucking asides, but that's pretty much it. I hope you guys do take this in the nature that it was intended, not meant as full-blown judgment, or to say you're a fucking pussy, or anything like that. Maybe a little bit, but it's something just to consider and take stock of. And I hope you do see some of the points that I attempted to make, and ultimately the biggest trait of masculinity is trying to improve. And that's one of the things that the red pill community got right, is this constant strive for greatness and improvement, and becoming even a little bit better than the day you were before, both physically, spiritually, and mentally. All right, guys, like, comment, share, subscribe. You guys know the fucking drill. Support your boys' Copy Habit if you guys want to. Find the links in the description: Cash App, PayPal. I really appreciate all you guys' support. The channel is definitely growing, and I thank all of you guys for that. And last but not least, nope, already did that. I will see you kings next time. Christ is king. Peace.